Thank you. Gavin, I'm a pharmacy technician in a local hospital here, and unfortunately my father, who is 90 years old, just left the room for a minute, but he was a teacher and a principal here in the district for 25 years. But my main issue with you today is I just want to say that on a personal level, on the gay rights issue, you are my hero. I'm the proud mother of a gay son. My question is just locally, hospitals here are laying off some people and are struggling a little, so I wonder if there was any plan for hospitals around
the
area.
Thank you. Can I just, on the issue of marriage, you know, it's an issue that divides us, doesn't it, up and down the state. And I probably understand as much more than anyone, right? Whether you like it or not. You know what I was talking about? I don't know if you know what I was talking about. You know what I was talking about? I was giving a speech at City Hall, and I was talking about the history of the Civil Rights Movement. And I was talking about the history of the rights movement generally. And I was reflecting on the last great controversy of marriage. And I don't mean your personal lives, if you've had a difficult marriage. I mean in this country. 1967. A lot of you were born in 67, right? That wasn't that long ago. In 1967, blacks could not marry whites in 16 states in America. People forget that. If you were African American, you could not marry a Caucasian. It was against the law. In fact, it happened. This guy named Richard Loving had the audacity to fall in love with Mildred Jeter. And they broke the law by saying two simple words, I do. And the judge sentenced Mr. Loving to 1 year in jail for the audacity of marrying someone of a different race. Richard Loving filed suit. It went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. In the Loving versus the state of Virginia case, the United States Supreme Court overturned that ban on interracial marriage, whether we liked it or not. But it was the right thing. And you say, well, what do you mean whether we like it or not? They did public opinion polls. I have them. They've been sent to me. I've done, as you can imagine, a lot of research on this topic. 70%, 70% of Americans opposed interracial marriage in 1967. The history of the rights movement has never been a history of the majority opening up their hearts to minorities. It's been the Constitution that has been the bedrock of protecting the rights of minorities against the whim of the majority. Whether we like it or not. And that's an important principle. And that's why we fought so hard, came up short on the issue of Prop 8. Because that was a constitutional right that was protected, that was stripped away by a majority. And so that was the reference, but it wasn't my finest hour, and I apologize for all that wasteful TV you had to watch in my face, yelling and screaming. Lesson learned, all right? Good people can disagree on this issue. And I say that, and I mean that sincerely. Good people can disagree on this. I got a lot of members of my family that disagree with me on this. I'm one of those classic Irish Catholic kids. I went to little Catholic school, wore the sailor outfits, and I had my socks up to my knees. I still have pictures to prove it. Went to a Jesuit university. So I've got a very large family of Catholics. And they disagree with me on this. They think civil unions are good enough. They say, can't you just call it something else? Just give everyone the same rights, but just call it, just marriage is between a man and a woman. Marriage is not between two people of the same sex. And I certainly, again, Good people can disagree. But here's my point of view. This year marks the 55th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. 55th anniversary. And you're going to be hearing politicians of every stripe at the Jefferson-Jackson dinners and others. And we're going to give, a lot of them are going to give beautiful speeches about the importance of that decision. That separate is not equal. The core principle of Brown versus Board of Education. And they're going to talk about the importance of equality. And they're going to reference the fights for civil rights, the rights of women and gender equality. And I think it behooves us to consider this anniversary in the context of the debate we're having today. Civil unions are not marriage. Marriage is marriage. Separate is not equal. If that principle is indeed a principle that you celebrate, I would just ask you, if you disagree with the issue of marriage equality for same-sex couples, to consider why it's good enough for some, but equality is not good enough for others. And I only suggest this in terms of answering your question specifically. I think there's nothing more destructive than a politician who says one thing privately and says or does something differently publicly. At least on this issue, you know where I stand. You may not agree with me, but you know where I stand, and you know that if I believe in something, I'll fight for it. And there will be a lot of issues where you're going to need someone to fight for you, on healthcare, on education, on the environment. And you know that regardless of where the politics is, and regardless of where public opinion is, that if I believe in something, and it's part of something that's my core, and it's a principle, that I'm going to do everything I can to advance it. And so I just want to say, for those that have the courage to say publicly, without resolution on Tuesday, what they're saying privately, those are my kind of people, and they deserve a lot of praise, even if you disagree with them. They deserve praise for their courage, for standing up. You guys are out of time. I thank you, all of you, very much for coming up. I'm going to be around and talk a little bit more. Get on Facebook, get on Twitter. Thank you.